Sandro, you've spoken about advancing youth understanding of cybersecurity. What does that actually look like?
So it's embedding awareness at every level. If I think of my 8-year-old, he asked me a very simple question. He asked me, "Do you like your job?" I said, "No, I love my job because I get to protect people without them knowing it." And he just chuckled with that. So that was quite good. And then if I think of NAB and how we operate, now we've got one of the largest tech internship intakes in Australia. We've currently just taken on board about 500 new tech recruits across the organization. And there's quite a few of those that has landed in my cybersecurity function as well.
How do you encourage your staff to be involved in a cybersecurity culture?
We want to make cybersecurity as instinctive as physical security for our staff and our customers here at NAB.
Let's talk a little bit more about the security culture. Why is that important for NAB and for the wider industry?
When we first started talking about digital transformation, nearly 2 decades ago, it makes me feel very old now, it became very, very clear that it wasn't just about technology, but it was instilling a cultural shift that we can embrace constant innovation and change. If you think about when the iPhone came out, I was looking at videos last night, actually back in 2007. The iPhone came out shortly after that. It was still on a video recorder. And I have to put in a DVD to edit it accordingly, etc. Now it's completely different. It's picking up your phone and doing the necessary edits, doing the video recording, doing the necessary edits, and uploading it on choose your social media platform of choice. So things have progressed significantly faster than we could ever have imagined. And when you think of cybersecurity, that culture of security is there. You just don't know about it. When you think of traveling when we could, and you're in a foreign city, whether you're walking down the street and you're seeing 2 individuals walking toward you that doesn't look like they're up to any good, you automatically and instinctively cross the street. The same principle applies when you're in the hotel room, you're locking the doors at night because you don't know. No, that's instinctive, that's there. And that's what we're trying to build with cybersecurity, that when you're online and when you're browsing social platforms, etc., that it's that you are taking those steps when you're online as well. NAB has also developed many programs to help our colleagues better embrace our cybersecurity culture. We've got quite a large security champions network, access to various education platforms. So whether it's Udemy or LinkedIn Learning or Riley, etc., there's quite a few of those platforms we give them access to. And then I think we're very, very proud of our Cloud Guild, which I mentioned earlier, with one of the largest colleagues that have been certified in Australia. I think we've trained over 7,000 colleagues since the launch of this program 3 years ago. So all those things tie back together in how we build this culture of security and keep moving the organization and the community forward as a whole.
So how is NAB getting the widest range of cybersecurity professionals?
We think cybersecurity is a team sport at NAB. So just like soccer, where you have strikers, defenders, midfielders, goalkeepers, doctors, coaches, nutritionists, and the list goes on, they are all exceptionally important to make sure the team is successful. And like that, we are looking for neurodiverse talent that will help us better defend the organization. And something that I'm personally very excited about is training visually impaired students to become cybersecurity professionals.
Lots of kids are going to find the idea of a threat hunter really exciting. What does that involve?
Our threat hunters are essentially part of our red team to find weaknesses before the baddies do. And they take those weaknesses, they'll pass it over to the blue team to fix those weaknesses and better protect the organization.
So I know that you've been involved in the World Economic Forum Center for Cybersecurity. Tell us more about that kind of collaboration on a global stage.
So the World Economic Forum, their Center for Cybersecurity was set up as an independent, impartial platform to help foster those dialogues, so to speak, and collaboration between the global cybersecurity community in both the public and the private sectors. And just like I've made the example about if I came to you and I said, I've got a target, were you interested, yes or no? We need to share intelligence much more than we have in the past amongst our peers, whether that's in the public or the private sector. And that's part of what the center does. And then bridging that gap between the cybersecurity expert and the decision makers at the highest levels, essentially to to make sure that cybersecurity is a key strategic priority in any organization or government around the world.
One of the things that people would be surprised about, even within this project, is that we've got the big four banks in Australia that are all very fierce competitors with each other when it comes to attracting customers, but to discover that you all work very closely together and talk about shared threats and recognizing that in Australia and globally, it is a shared problem and that you're communicating with experts everywhere in the world would probably be a surprise to many people. How does that work in practice? Apart from the Center for Cybersecurity, do you get together with the other CISOs? Do you have close collaboration between your staff? How does that work?
We effectively share indicators of compromise to better protect our organizations as a whole and the community.
I suppose I've got two parts that I'm interested in. One is, how do you encourage everyone in your team to take the time to invest in themselves with lifelong learning? And how do you find time as a CSO to do that too?
So from a security perspective, it's relatively straightforward, simply because the threats and the tactics is ever evolving. It's changing constantly. So trying to convince somebody that it's a good idea for them to learn about those new tactics and threats and how to better protect against them, I think that's relatively straightforward. It's more the softer skills. Now, why is meditation important, for example? Or do you really need to go to the gym? All those softer skills, as I call them, that's the more difficult thing to convince the staff with. But I think everybody understands the importance of continuous learning. And it's the same as a doctor. You would go through becoming a doctor, it's a long process. Let's call it 7 years. But it doesn't mean that now you've qualified as a doctor, you just stop. Because I wouldn't want to go to a doctor if that person's just been qualified and never gone to anything else to further their skills. Same principle applies to security. So for myself, I also try to lead by example. So I've completed several different courses over the last a year alone. I did a course at MIT. I finished my master's degree in cybersecurity while I was traveling around the world, having a young family, etc. So trying to lead by example, that as busy as I may be, I'm trying to invest the time personally so that I can also contribute better to the wider ecosystem.